Thank you very much for listening to this week's talk on the Sedras of Acharei Mot and Kedoshim. It is also the week of Yom Hazikaron and Yom Haatzmaut, where we mark the Mesirut Nefesh, the willingness to give everything by so many heroes in the land of Israel over decades. And we honor their memory and we are grateful for the gift that their heroism has had such a significant part in bequeathing us. And the confluence of these two special days of the week happening in the week this year that we will read the Sedras of Acharei Mot and Kedoshim brings together the themes of all of these. And I think that when you experience these events in the land of Israel, you see how the living Torah is really the ground that you walk on and the air that you breathe, the rhythm of what is happening to us, how it all ties in with the ancient words of the Torah in a way that just becomes clearer and clearer. So I think that just to explain those concepts, when we think of Acharei Mot and Kedoshim, this really does describe the transition of Yom Hazikaron and the Mesirut Nefesh, the statement that by Rav Shneur Zalman Auerbach Zatzal, who said when asked by a pupil of his, a Talmud, who wanted to go to the graves of the holy people, wanted to go up north, I believe, and wanted to take time off, and Rav Shneur Zalman Auerbach said to this young student, you just need to go to Har Herzl, the military cemetery, because these are the graves of the Kedoshim. So we have their sanctification of Hashem's name in this way. This gives them the status of being sanctified. To describe, translate this word Kedoshim is really a challenge, but it is the highest level that we aspire to. And this is the level that the heroes that we are commemorating, today is Tuesday, today is Yom Hazikaron, the 4th of Iyar, and this is the level. And I think that there are so many different aspects and elements of these concepts. And listening to as we are living in the challenging times that we are facing at the moment, certainly over the past 2.5 years, and the fact that there are so many more who have this status of Kedoshim, who have given their lives and in many different ways in order to protect the people of Israel and enable them to live in security in the land of Israel with God's help. And this is a very heavy feeling. And in an interview with Natan Sharansky and his daughter Rochel Sharansky-Danziger, and this is to hear Natan Sharansky speak and explain to his daughter, who is saying that there is just such a heavy sense of loss, and this is difficult to bear. And Natan Sharansky was actually talking about his most meaningful Yom Hazikaron, and it was when he was in prison in the Gulag, in Schiphol prison, and he was this prison was in the Ural Mountains on the border of Siberia, and he was a prisoner of Zion. He endured terribly harsh conditions, and he maintained his faith, and he held on to his book of Tehillim with such devotion and dedication that the threats of his evil captors trying to take it away from him, bribing him, threatening him, it was all to no avail. And on this particular occasion that turned out to be Yom HaZikaron, he was next door, another prisoner of Zion, Yosef Mendelovich, and they communicated with Morse code, that then tapping on the wall, that it was actually Yom HaZikaron on that day. And they wanted to be able to exchange words and discuss the meaning of the significance of this day. And the best way to do it was to, whatever kind of primitive toilet facilities were in their cells, to take out the water from there, stick their heads into the bowl, and like that, they were able to converse most freely. And that was under threat of being discovered by the guards. And if they would have been discovered by the guards, they would have been automatically guilty of this clandestine communication, because what other reason is there for having your head down the toilet basin? And this, in this way, they were talking about the eternal promise of the land of Israel and the resilience of the Jewish people, and this is what he remembers. And this is something that that in a way is that it can give us a lot of encouragement and strength, because yes, we are going through challenges now, absolutely, and we face uncertainty and dangers, absolutely. But when we think about the long trajectory of the history of our people and look and see the truth of Netzach Yisrael Lo Yishaker, we are all here against the odds. And the gift of being a sovereign nation in our ancient land, this is something that needs to lift us up and bring us closer to this feeling of the blessing of the words of the Torah, the connection with the land of Israel and the people of Israel, and give us that confidence and courage that we need so much. And in the inimitable words of Natan Sharansky, as he is, I feel, trying to lift his daughter out of the challenging place that she is. He says, our life is meaningful because we are always in the center of some historical struggle. And as he said that, I thought, this is really our name, Yisrael. When we see that in the Sedras of Bereshis, in the book of Bereshis, when we hear about Yaakov Avinu, Yaakov our father, when his name is changed in his struggle with the angel, the name Yisrael is given, and the Torah says, because you have struggled with man and with God, and you have prevailed. And this struggle is not a struggle in the sense that drains us. This is a struggle in a sense that lifts us up, because after it, when we are going to have succeeded in surviving to fulfill our mission, then we are in a higher place. And I think as well, this is very much the resonance of Acharei Mot and Kedoshim together. And Acharei Mot, after the death, this refers to the death of the two sons of Aaron, which we read about in the Sedra of Shemini. And this was a very tragic, sudden confrontation with mortality. And this, in the Sedra of Acharei Mot, we also read about the service of Yom Kippur. And all of these things are showing us that we have got there is a force that continues. There is a purpose that continues after one's physical life. And the reality as well, the two of the Sedras read together, and this is something that we need to draw on very much, especially in the land of Israel, and especially at these times, to have that focus and the coping tools to deal with end of life, with passing, and having the strength to continue after the loss in whatever circumstances of those that we love. And this is, as we look from the Sedras of Acharei Mot to Kedoshim, we see in the Sedra of Kedoshim that with the 50 mitzvot that we have in this very mitzvah-laden Sedra, that if you look at the range of mitzvahs, it's almost like a day in the life, an ordinary day in the life of a person who is trying to be Kedoshim. Hashem calls on us to be Kedoshim. This is a word that we normally associate with very saintly, pious people, but this is actually a call that goes out to the entire nation. And it is not the it is not only the very lofty concepts that that help us understand what it is to be kadosh, how to do that, but really when we look at the content of the Sedra that has kadoshim as its title, we can see that this is how we bring down the divine into the everyday actions of our lives. And as well as helping us to experience kedusha and this aspect of sanctification of holiness, but it's also giving us a coping tool, because at a point of loss, at a deep point of grief, then it's very possible to feel completely rudderless, anchorless, like the ground has just dropped from under my feet and sink into an absolute pile. But the everyday mitzvahs that we read about in Kedoshim, that span the content of the day, the content of the week, the content of the year, then this is giving us the rhythm and the routine for those, especially for those challenging moments, but even when those challenging moments aren't there, that keeps us, those are our railway tracks that we can run on, and we can continue in that forward motion because of that pattern. And I think that when we look at the events here in Israel of Yom Hazikaron and Yom Haatzmaut, the miracles, and see them within the framework of Acharei Mot and Kedoshim, and within the larger framework of the Sefirat HaOmer, the period between Pesach and Shavuot that we count. Each day is bringing us closer to our goal of receiving the Torah. Each day is us getting one step higher on that ladder, incrementally. It's not going to be a huge leap, but each small step, in the famous words of Neil Armstrong, the astronaut, when he walked on the moon, it's each small step, as we go in the right direction, as we look at the mitzvahs in the Sedra of Kedoshim, as we connect it to our history and to our present, and look ahead to our future, we have everything that we need. And we are just needing to look at all of these events and points and see how it comes in this time period of the Omer, and realize that nothing is random. It's all there meant to give us our coping tools in what can be a very challenging world to navigate. And please God, we should all merit to go from the memory and the pain of the loss that is represented by Yom Hazikaron, go towards the festivities and the joy of Yom Haatzmaut, and appreciate the miracle of the ancient land of the Jewish people and the Jews of today, the heroes of all sorts, the heroes who Masar et Nafsham in the past, but those heroes who continue to live here, to flourish here, to be part of the vibrant society that we are blessed to have. And we should all merit to have that final redemption and be here together as a nation under the wing of Hashem. Thank you very much for listening. Wishing everybody Shabbat Shalom and Besorot Tovot.